G'day, folks. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Dave.
This is
Barstools
and Bandtalk. And, I never get tired of these mugs. These mugs are awesome. Philip Wells, we're gonna take a little trip. Philip Wells, thanks, brother. P. Paul, thanks for the Two Rock shirt. Nothing but swag. We're shameless for the swag. Oh, did I give something away?
Oh, you with a clever segue, Sean McKenna. That was a clever segue. All right.
Our next guest, we both known for a long time. You guys all know him. Every time I have the opportunity to get around this guy, we always have a chuckle and talk about past, present, and future. So without further ado, we have
Mr. Shawn Birt from Shameless. There he is.
Hello.
What's up,
How
brother?
you doing now, brother?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
So you having fun there in the bunker or what?
I spent a ton of time down here lately.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's good. Believe it or not.
What have you been doing?
Lots of stuff, recording, writing, working on video stuff, working on my recording, the programs, learning. I told somebody just the other day, this is terrible and I hate being shut down for this long. I'm ready to get back at it. But boy, oh boy, I needed a break.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I think that we were talking to a few people about this. If people aren't using this downtime to get better at their craft, they're going to be in trouble when it does come out, because there's going to be some pile of people that are going to be ready to shred the shit out of stuff, right? So
I've been practicing every day for hours. My family's sick of it.
You know what? You're playing more guitar than you've ever played, man. I haven't had an opportunity to see you guys in, the new carnation, but I mean, you're singing, you're playing. Talk about that, because that's it's not different for you, but it's probably a little bit more back to your roots.
Well, I'll jump in because I've watched Mr. Birt play with his new band formation, and he's a wicked guitar player, lead player, rhythm. I think I said to you after a couple of shows, Shawn, I'm super impressed because you were like, first of all, a bass player, turned into a rhythm guitar player, singer guy, sex symbol, whatever. But now you are, man. You're absolutely shredding the guitar. So good on you, brother. Good on you.
Thanks. I originally, a number of years ago, I've always wanted to play guitar. When I was a kid, when I was 13 years old, I wanted to be the lead guitar player, but nobody else would sing. So then I just started singing. And I'm sure this has happened to a million guys. And then a number of years later, our first guitar player in the band, Darren, left, and we were contemplating going three-piece, and I was going to play all the guitar, but I wasn't ready.
Yep.
And this time around, I said, you know what, boys, I want to do this, and I put in the work. I worked my butt off.
Yeah.
And for two reasons: A, I needed it. I needed a musical change. I just needed something fresh to concentrate on. You know what I mean? And change is good, and learning something new is good. And my brain was ready for it, and my fingers were somewhat ready for it. And
that's awesome.
Well, I mean, I tell you, and I play with Kyle, and Kyle plays a lot of lead. And I don't know if you feel like this, but Kyle, just for whatever reason, never thinks he's up to snuff. He never thinks he's good enough. And you hear the guy play, I can listen to him play all day long. And I don't know if you kind of had those little bit, that little bit of trepidation, and finally you said, "Frig it, I'm just going to go for it." And people say shit, who cares? And I don't know, is that where you got to the point with it?
Well, when I first started it, man, I was scared as hell, and still to this day, I'm my own worst critic. I record a lot when we play. I have the technologies there now. We'll touch on that too.
Sure.
But the technology's there to record every night, multi-track. Oh my God. So I go home and I listen to every note I play the night before, and I cringe, and then I see the guys and I'm like, "Do you remember this part last night?" And they're like, "No, it was fine, man." And I'm like,
yeah.
Great.
When you had a little accent there too, because I know I saw the pictures. You were playing some hockey, and I know that actually that's really the only time I see you typically is at the rink, either games going or whatever. But you smashed up a finger there.
There's what a pinky's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
But there's what that one looks like now.
Oh.
That's as straight as I can get it.
Ooh.
Is that caused you to reinvent your newfound playing, or have you been okay with it?
It's been not too bad. I had a few moments when it first happened. I kind of Well, it happened on a Friday afternoon, playing hockey. I play hockey 4 or 5 times a week. I knew something happened. So I went to the doctor after the game, and I thought they were just going to tape them together, and like it's happened before, right? So he gave me a prescription to go get an X-ray on Monday. So anyway, it's Friday. So I played Friday night at the lower deck. I played Saturday night at the lower deck. Just, it didn't feel good. So I got there Monday, and they were like, "Yeah, you need surgery." And I was like, "What?" Anyway, I took a week off.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I was on stage in Dartmouth at Finn Bars.
Wow.
So are you a first line center or a third line plugger?
I every now and then I get the call to go up on the second line.
Yeah. I used to play with a buddy of mine, Real Arsenault, and when I get on his line, because he was drafted years ago by the Islanders, I just give him the puck and smash the garbage in, and I usually wind up getting a point or two. So smart business.
Absolutely.
That's you, Dave.
Is that it? So is that what your finger's going to do now, or is it going to? Did you already have the surgery?
Yeah, no, that's after surgery.
Wow.
So I'm exercising it as much as I can, but it's still the fretboard. It still does what it's supposed to do, and I've been practicing with it, so I'll be okay.
Wow.
There you go.
Sorry to hear that, man. All right, take us back now, Shawn, because the first time I remember meeting you, I can't remember which band, but we were playing in Excess Energy, maybe, or Cradle, and you had started, the best of my knowledge, a little band called Runaway.
Well, I joined Runaway. I didn't start it.
Oh, okay.
And I've always been like guitar and singing, and their bass player left, so they needed a bass player at the time, and I was good friends with Chris Palmer, the singer. And then I met this other crazy little character named Amir. So that changed everything for me. So anyway, we played in Runaway for a few years. We did a lot of great stuff. We had sponsors and all that. We played the Concert on the Hill. We did the Q104 home package and all that stuff. And then that band kind of fizzled out, as it would. And Amir and I started Shameless in this fall of '92.
Wow.
I remember you guys did it the Crazy Horse. I think it was a release party. I remember two things. One, I remember it was the first time I kind of heard you guys before. But two, I remember that was my first expose into free beer at a bar, because you guys, I think, it was. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I was kind of contemplating maybe of whether or not I was going to keep playing. I was like, this could be pretty cool. Maybe we'll stick around for a while. But was that a record release party or something you guys did that night?
Well, there was the Battle of the Bands at the Horse. It could have been that, or it could have been the record release. Yeah, I can't remember which, but I was 17, 18 years old in those days. So yeah. I was in grade 12 and then playing in the clubs at night. And they made reference to it on your site here.
Yeah.
I made a note and I said, sorry, Jackie, because what the plan was, they said, okay, you guys came in second place. You can do a full week gig when you turn 19. And they're like, when you turn 19? I'm like, this November. But actually, I just only turned 18. So anyway.
I remember those days. And the other thing, too, before we go further,
yeah.
I've known you for a long time. I had no idea all the talent, the musical talent that's out in the Spryfield area. And I mean, I grew up in Dartmouth, but I mean, I ran into you guys, I kind of knock heads with like the Eddie Duggins and whatnot, but there's yourself, there's Scott Harnish, there's Steve Harnish, there's, McIsaac. Was McIsaac from out there? Like, I mean, it's just talk about that, because it just seems like you guys are.
Might as well mention the Plains.
Hockey or musicians.
McLean's, yes, indeed. Dave, quick line. Were you in Excess Energy?
Yes.
Well, I used to play in a band or jam with Robbie's little brother, Alan.
I know.
Yep.
So we'd be in the basement jamming, and then Robbie would come down, dolled up like John Bon Jovi, going to play at the Moon that Tuesday night, and we're jamming like after school, and he's going to the gig, and I remember we were like, oh, that must be the best.
With Scott Harnish, right?
Harnish would have been there eventually, yeah.
Scott Harnish, yeah. Yeah, they were talking about that the other day, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot about your name in that whole involvement, but yeah, no, it's a small world.
Yeah, absolutely. All those guys. There's lots of talent out this way. I remember when we were in high school, they'd have these jam parties. So I'm in grade 10 and I go and I'm like, I'm getting into musicianship. I'm starting to play guitar. So I go to these parties and these older guys are there and they're all jamming Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. And I'm like, what the hell is this music? And then bang, I was introduced to it. And it's a lifelong love for it.
Well, you would have had Chris Monroe's out there and Rob Barstools out there. They all went to JL. They were all JL boys, right? That's right. That's right. All right. So you do the Runaway gig. And then it's fizzled out. You and Amir, and yes, I played in a band with Amir before too. I know what he's all about. Can we say his name? Is it okay now? Or
No, we'll get to that.
no one's looking for him, are they?
Oh, good. Amir's good.
Okay, perfect. So then, 1992 to now, that's a long career, brother.
Yes, I played in a band briefly for about 8 months in '91. I graduated high school in '90. Got my one and only job at the Bay. I worked at the Bay for a few months, and Amir got me that job actually in like the camera department. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I left that job. I got a note for an audition for a band in Cape Breton from Dwayne Coughlin.
Yeah.
Agency 2000. And so I literally packed a hockey bag and all my clothes and everything and jumped on the bus and moved to Sydney. Joined these guys. We were called Criminal Minds.
Yeah.
You probably might remember the name, Shawn, and you too,
Yeah.
David. And we banged it out, man. We did the Star of David tour all over in 4 nights. We went to Newfoundland for 6 weeks at a time, and we drove around in the Dwayne Coughlin truck with R6 or whatever PA it was, and the sound man, and we wired back or we went to the bank. You had to go to the bank with the cash and send home, 58% of the take to Dwayne, and then divvy up the other $400 amongst the 6 of us or whatever the hell we had. That's what we did. Right? We were 21. We were like, "Do I got enough for a 6-pack tonight? I'm good. Let's go."
Yeah. Here's a question too. Did you guys have the cube van that Robbie ran through the parking garage at the mall out in Spryfield?
No, but I'm aware of that. I remember.
Oh
that,
yeah, that's a story we're gonna save for another time, Shawn. That's a classic. That's a classic.
World famous.
I'll tell you that. Those days, remember we were all running around those trucks and we're like, "Oh my gosh, this one's got a cassette player," and we were all excited. Now I'm driving in my truck, air conditioning, comfortable. The boys are all seated, and like someone will be like, "Oh man, I don't have service on my phone." It's like, "Oh, poor thing."
Yeah, exactly.
We laugh about that every now and then.
That's code problem.
Don't you have Wi-Fi in this truck? What's wrong with you, Shawn? You're so cheap.
Exactly. Back in the day, we're like, "Oh my God, it's got FM radio." But
I want to. So the one thing, and I thought about this a lot, and I may have talked to you about it before, but when you guys get Shameless together, because I don't know if you remember. I remember you and Amir one night. I think we were at Scoundrels or something, and you guys were busking outside.
Yep.
And I remember you guys going, "We're gonna get a gig at Palace in a couple of weeks and whatever." And then shortly thereafter, I moved to Toronto, and there was a bunch of bands that were playing, and they just kind of all went away. Then in comes Shameless, and you guys just kind of slid in there, did your thing, and never really left. Is it kind of like it was that was the first opportunity? But it seems to me like there's been a lot of opportunities you've been able to kind of slide in and capitalize on that have kind of helped you with the longevity.
Yeah, I could speak to that. Amir and I started the band essentially, right? And it was supposed to be a kind of an original project. We wanted to be rock stars. Him and I were the cockiest 2 little fools you could meet back in the day. We were at the Moon every night, chasing girls and drinking beer and just like all of us, frankly. Yep. I remember the joke was you went to the Misty Moon and you were like a politician. You were shaking hands every night with all the different musicians. "How you doing, man? How you doing? How's your band?" And so we finally got the band up off the ground when we met a guy named Darren Shaw. And Darren was like the piece that was missing. It was Amir and I and a guy named Kurt. And then we met Darren. And so then we played, our first gig was at the Rusty Anchor in like February of '93 down in Prospect. Yep. Dwayne Coughlin was there. I called Dwayne, "Come see my new band. You can book us." And Dwayne got there and we were not very good. And he told me so as he left. "Shawn, it needs a lot of work." And I was like, I was probably too cocky. I was like, "Yeah, fuck you, bud. Yeah, whatever. We're wicked."
Yeah, sure.
And, like we all did.
Rick O'Grady? Yeah.
I'll get to Rick. So eventually, there's another band called Cameras in Paris. You guys remember them? Yeah. Chris Palmer, Jeff Roberts, Mark Horton, and Carl Baldwick was the drummer then. Remember Carl?
I do.
And so anyway, they got sort of off the ground a little quicker than us, but we were all good friends. So Wayne latched onto them and he loved them. And Wayne may not have been with Hudson still then, or he moved on to what was called More Than Booking, one or the other. So Dwayne did not book Shameless. Dwayne booked before that, but Wayne started booking Shameless a little bit at the first going. So we started doing some of those gigs, and we went to Newfoundland for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 weeks and all that kind of stuff. And then Wayne's thing sort of fell under and so went away. And then so we were without an agent, and of course I went down to read the next big guy, which was Rick Brady. We wanted to get into the Palace and the Moon and whatnot, and those were the 2 rooms in Halifax that we had not yet played. So we went and had a meeting with Rick, and he was like, he was a cocky bastard too. God love him. But he said, Mike. And then he sent me over to Mike Shepard's office.
Yeah.
And another turning point in my life. God love Mike, rest his soul. He became one of my good friends. I spoke to that man every day on the phone for 6 or 7 years, and like our phone calls were never like 2 minutes; they were 2 hours, basically. So Mike, are we going to Smoothies there next week or what? Yeah, but let me tell you about this time with Richie Oakley and Dog McKay. 2 hours later, and we're laughing and going on. And then, did Jimmy hire us or what? He was like, yeah, but just Monday to Wednesday. I think he was just trying to smooth it over.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, I remember working with Rick too, because you're right. Rick liked you or he didn't like you, and you knew it instantly. But Mike was always the buffer.
Absolutely. Mike was the rock and roll guy, the Ayatollah of rock and roll.
Yeah.
And Rick wanted to be a lot more hands-on with the band. I found like he would tell he really liked ICU. This was when ICU was in the heyday. They were the cats. Yeah. But then Saratoga were just still kicking around, maybe now Voyager, those guys, and he had a lot of input with what they were wearing on stage, and he wanted to be involved with their set lists, and I wasn't having anything to do with that. So that's why I guess maybe he just, here, Mike, take them, because there was money to be made, but he wanted to be more involved with his bands, his roster of bands. So we were with Mike for X amount of years. I learned everything I know about booking a band, from that point, from Mike Shepard. He taught me a ton. And
it's funny, Lisa Melanson said the same thing, because I started just around that time. I started the Mirror Image Band. It was myself and Trevor Axford, Derek Belfontaine, and Lisa Melanson, who I met through the Bay, because I worked at the Bay too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's right. So we started that band. I only lasted a year. I already had a little girl, and it's time for me to get off the road. But it's funny, I was talking to her the other night. She said the same thing about because we were with Dwayne, and she took the band another direction and went with Rick and Mike, and just loved like a brother loved him. So it's kind of nice to have that kind of legacy in place.
Man, we would still play the Shore Club now, and on the Saturday night, and I'd look over on the third set, and there's Mike on the side, like smile, giving me that smile and moving his head like he does with the beer.
Yeah.
Right up to the very end, he'd roll up in the golf cart because he just lived down in the motel from the Shore Club.
Right.
And
it's funny because we've all worked. We got our start with a guy named Rob McCollin, who was on Hazen Horseman, and we went Hazen to Marcel, Hazen to Dwayne to Marcel to Rick. So everybody takes that turn around, and then everybody just maybe if we can do it, right?
Yeah.
And
Hazen booked a few gigs for Shameless back at the very start.
All right.
Too. Oh yeah, if I recall, a couple of them too. They were like, it was just crappy.
Of them. Story the other night about Delmont and I were in a band. Hazen called me on a Saturday morning. You got to get to the Tacoma Drive Burger King parking lot. You're opening for Platinum Blonde at Bathurst. So we get down there. It's like 8 a.m. We're figuring we're going to the airport. He goes, call a cab. And I kid you not, we took a cab from Dartmouth to Bathurst, almost $4. That thousands of Hazen birds like that. So
he wanted commission on that too, didn't he?
What's that?
He wanted commission on the taxi ride too.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So now that you guys, let's call it what it is. All those other guys kind of fell by the wayside. You kept plugging away, and you've had different incarnations, and different folks coming in and out. What do you think has allowed you to kind of do it for so long? Like, do you think it's because you're easy to work with? Do you think it's because you're almost a brand now? Is it the song list? Let's call it what it is. Everybody kind of does the same songs, but what do you think it is that thing that keeps people calling you guys back?
Well, I've always had a band. Like I've never been like, oh God, I got to go to such and such next week. I need a bass player. Like I've always had a group. I've had lots of member changes over the years, but like I've had groups of guys and we've been together for a long time, and a chance to get tight because we do play a lot. And well, since leaving ETI, when I just took over the band entirely, all the booking, all the everything, it was probably the best thing I did do, just in terms of, okay, I know I want my band to go to this city or this town X amount of times a year, so I'm going to make that happen. And so, for example, I'm going to give you Fredericton. You know, Shameless is pretty popular in Fredericton. We do well there, and that's because we've gone there 6 times a year. Like, say, if you've got an agent who's booking 6 other bands, you may or not get there as many times as you want. So why always book us there in the months that I thought were the best, 6 times a year, we'll say, and it's been consistent. And I think we've always been good. It's always been entertaining. We're not, I've never always been the best musicians, but the most fun. It's always fun when you come to see us play. I hope that's the goal. And
you've got a great following, a great crowd. Tommy Two-Tone called me earlier, and he said you can have Jenny's number. He said you can have it. Okay,
that's excellent because I bet you I've played that song more than him, and I guarantee I've played Jesse Stewart more times than Rick Springfield. I guarantee. I was playing that song in 1993.
But that's a good point, though. You've been consistent for a long friggin' time, Shawn, and that's it's unique nowadays. You don't see it anymore. Like we're talking to guys who were doing this in the 70s and the 80s, and it was consistent then. Shawn and I talked about this 1,000 times. Whenever you went to go see a Razorbush show, you know what to expect. You go to the bathroom, come out, and you know what song's going to be on. But you guys have a similar situation, a similar vibe. It's different tunes, but it's consistent performance, consistent musicianship. So I think
we've got some of the hits. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like I think Mo said it the other night. He said, the set list is written on the wall. That's fun. That was a funny line, by the way. It's true and it's not. Like there are certain hits, man, that you bang them out on Saturday night at any club at the lower deck, and everybody in the room is gonna go bah bah bah. They love their hits for a reason. Sweet Home Alabama.
You know what? You know it, and I know it, man. If you want to work this town, the integrity sometimes gets left at the door in the good name of entertaining people, right?
Absolutely, and I've told my band members this over the years. I've said it many times. It's like, guys, it's 3.5 minutes. Even if you're not crazy about the song, make it look like you are. Just have fun with it. There's no reason. You're playing music. You're not shoveling dirt.
That's right.
If you're not crazy about Brown Eyed Girl, just da 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 da. Just get through it. There's lots of people who love it because it's a great song. It's just the fact they're out there on Friday night and they've been waiting all week to party and relax. And you've played that song every night since Monday, every night since February, and you're like, oh, it's like they haven't heard it that many times, so they want to hear it. And I would say that attitude probably helps this band get as far as it's gotten to over the years.
Sure. And there's one thing I would like you to do too, because a number of times you mentioned Fredericton, and a number of times I've talked about Dolan's Pub, and it's going to sound pretty one-sided. I'd like you, because I noticed they sent out their Facebook update. You and I liked it at almost the same time that they opened on Thursday. Tell the folks that have never been at Dolan's Pub what Dolan's Pub is like.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's I don't know if you could liken it to anything necessarily here. Like be like a cross between the Ale House and the lower deck. The vibe is good. It's party. It's the smaller markets, the bigger markets like say Toronto, Ottawa, even Halifax to the lesser extent. The bars are very genre specific in terms of people. Like it's young people this night. It's a little bit older this night. But like Dolan's, like a lot of the smaller market bars, Thursdays are younger people. Fridays are a little older earlier. They're still there from happy hour. And then the young kids come in for the last set or two. And then Saturdays, everybody. Like that's Dolan's. Like, you know what I mean? You're looking on a Saturday night and you'll see folks, Dave's age, and then you'll see folks younger, like mine and Shawn's age.
Right.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. Not to mention,
I just have a great beer, all right? Shit.
But you get Barry and the crew there, and I mean, they treat everybody fantastic. And it's funny, Shawn, because like I know you guys were going there for a while. I know Colin and I only really started playing there about 2.5 years ago because of kind of getting in the circuit. And it was funny. Dion Macbeth calls me. it was 2 days before Halloween, so it would have been a Wednesday. What are you doing tomorrow night? This was like at 5 o'clock on Wednesday. I don't know. He goes, can you come to Dolan's? I'm like, fuck yeah, absolutely. And I just went right, hey, I'm taking 2 days off, and away I went. It's the, it's like the Halifax Ale House and some other ones. It's like, it's the must do, the circle on the calendar. It's a good time, right?
Oh, the staff is fantastic. Fantastic.
I think what you do is smart, Shawn, because there's an old saying that how can I miss you if you won't go away? But you know what? Like, you guys are here and then you're not. So you must be doing the Dolans, and you do a local or a pretty regular gig in Ottawa too, do you not?
Yeah, we go up. We were going to Ontario a few times a year. We were going to Toronto for about 10 years. And that sort of fizzled out for us. Things come and go. Gigs come and go. I had a few gigs booked in Ottawa this year, but I don't know if they're going to happen now. We'll see. But we'd like have a circuit. You know what I mean? And and going back to what we were saying about the song lists and stuff too, something that I've always tried to do is, again, there's the hit. You got to play the hits, but it's a matter of finding those maybe a little more obscure nuggets that slide in between. Mm-hmm. And there's songs that over the years that I've tried to find, or someone in the band will say, oh man, we got to try this. And those are the ones that you pull out of nowhere, and then you play them, they see you play 3 or 4 times, and the next thing you know, they're like, oh, I'll tell you a great example. We started playing We Built This City by Starship.
Right.
Oh, nice.
And me and Todd were talking one day, like, oh, that'd be wicked. And so we started playing, and now it's like people are like, are you going to play that song? And some of them don't even know what it's called, the Built the City song. And
oh my God.
Here's the Jesse's Girl thing I was joking about with Rick Springfield. Peeper, or Boris, or whatever we want to call him now, he's like his light man, his front of house light man now.
Oh,
yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah. I was talking with him, and it's just kind of funny. But we played that song in the 90s at the Palace, and people were like, Jesse's Girl, that's cool. And 10 years later, they're like at the Palace playing Jesse's Girl, like, Jesse's Girl, that's cool.
They're finally going to do it. They're finally going to do it.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what I think? Later. You know what I think? I think it's we're playing to a crowd now whose parents kind of grew up with some of that stuff, watching some of that stuff, and now the kids knew it. So it's kind of like when we might have listened to the Beatles or the Stones or whatever, and that's like starting to spin itself through.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think it's that music. I don't think it's ever going to go away, but I think it's just a good time for it to see a resurgence, right?
Oh, when we come out of this, I read some of your posts there, Shawn, and I tend to agree with you. I think we're going to come out of this charge, and it's going to take us a little while here to get it going. I'm optimistic about it. But having said that, we've been busy, and we've always been busy for a long, long time. So when this starts to open up, I'm confident that the places that we play are going to go, oh, call, Shawn, we're ready. Let's go. Let's do this. Places like the Lower Deck, he's going to resume his schedule, I'm sure, is the second he can.
Right.
And,
well, certainly a very positive sign is you're seeing Dave showed some video, some of these guys redoing their stages. Yeah. And, I
saw Condi redoing the stage at the Lower Deck, and
right.
It came.
You said, and I mean, to that point, I mean, I don't know. I tend to try to tune out the like I get why people are concerned and stuff like that, but I'm to the point now where I'm going to go like a shopping cart. I just got to, this whole isolation thing is just driving me nuts, but I don't want to necessarily put my viewpoint on other people. Therefore, I'm going to take more of a, we're going to get there type thing. Cause to sit there and say it's going to be another year and a half, I don't think that does anything for my mental groceries to believe that. Therefore, I'm not going to sort of buy into that. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't want to pontificate about something like there's a word. I don't want to try to predict the future. This is.
I like pontificate. That's a good one.
Yeah. But I mean,
I can use that next time.
Mark Horton said something very funny that I've been thinking. He goes, 2021 is going to be amazing. And it's kind of like, well, hey, you know what? If worst comes to worst and it doesn't start till the fall, everything's going to get pushed out. And I think everybody that has been doing their homework and not sitting around getting fat is going to have a good go when everything opens up. That's my humble 2 cents.
Absolutely. When this Shameless is going to come out swinging, we're ready. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
That's awesome, man.
I'm excited for it. we're coming up on jeepers, coming up on 30 years.
That's awesome. It is.
Yeah. It's I'm the luckiest kid in the class. I've said that a million times. We work hard. If you come to see us play, hopefully it's fun. It's a good time. That's always the number one mantra of the band. And you know, I'm not looking to impress those. Remember Shawn back in the day, and you too, Dave, the guys we always joke with the musicians at the back of the room like that. You know what? I don't give a fuck about them. They can go to hell. I'm caring about those cute girls up front get up and dancing, or guys and girls.
I had the opportunity to get around Randy Cook when I was in Toronto, and Randy always used to say, and I mean, he's a monster drummer, and his whole thing was, if I'm sitting in the crowd drinking a beer and I'm shitting on somebody, who's the loser? The guy on stage or me shitting on the crowd? And that's always stuck with me. And Dave, I say that to you all the time.
True.
You know, be out watching somebody, and I'm not going to shit on somebody if I'm not on stage doing it.
He's working, you're not. Shut the fuck up.
Right. I'm buying a beer.
Shawn, listen, we're just about out of time, brother. I just wanted to thank you so much for being on the show. Like I said, you're a big part of this. That's 28 years, and it's sometimes, Shawn, I think, oh, these young kids. I mean, we were probably just a generation before you, but we're having so much fun talking to Jackie and to Peter Ettinger, to Peter Bayless, and to Dave Roberts. It's just, this site has been so much fun. We got 2,000 people that are waiting for live music, waiting to hear live music. So that's what our group represents.
I loved that Jackie Smith piece, and then the Maurice piece, because Mo helped me get going. I love that guy, and I'm forever in his debt. He helped Shameless get going in 1993. Jackie Smith, I used to be looking through the window at the Misty Moon when I was 16, 17 years old, and like, oh, I got to get the bus to get home. Peter Ettinger, same thing. Like Peter Ettinger at the Palace on a Sunday night, just before he moved, I was 19, and man, oh man, I loved that guy.
We were talking to him Saturday night. Saturday night, he's playing his first gig in the new band in Anchorage, Alaska. So he's going to be on the show here shortly. But we were talking to him on the phone. It was wicked to hear his voice. And they're playing in Alaska now. It's the first time that's happened for what, 2 months, 2.5 months, whatever it is. So there's signs. There's signs of hope. Things are going to come around, man. It is for sure.
Absolutely. Like I said, New Brunswick is slowly but surely opening. I told Barry, I said, the second you guys are open, give me a call. I said, as soon as I can sneak across the border, we'll go at midnight.
Yeah. There's tons of places to get to New Brunswick. Don't even worry. And it's funny, Dave talking about Peter Ettinger. It was a really cool phone call. I mean, it was just like, he still sounds the same. Mm-hmm. And he was, the only thing that was different, and I wasn't as gleeful as Dave always was. So it was kind of like, that was kind of funny. But other than that, it's all right to laugh, Dave.
I think you're old as fuck. All right. Time's up.
Hey,
Shawn
shout
Birt,
out,
go ahead.
Shout out to Toad, Tommy, and Luke, my boys.
Yep, absolutely.
Great
I don't know
you got a great
well,
band. You got a great band right now. Seriously, they're great players, and the utmost respect.
That's the secret. That's how I get away with being a shitty guitar player. The rest of my band is smoking.
It's like we know each other. I get the same secret. All right, we're out, man. Thanks so much, Shawn, for coming on the show.
Thanks, guys. Take care. This is great. Keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Barstools